my channel. My name is Taylor. If you're new here, I'm 21 years old. I currently live in Austin, Texas, and I make health, fitness, lifestyle content on every platform. Make sure to subscribe. I post YouTube videos twice a week, mostly vlogs, but I thought today I would do a sit-down video because it's been a while since I've done one, and I kind of wanted to go all in on my cut and bulking journey. If you follow along on my Instagram, on my podcast, on my Snapchat, on my YouTube, you've seen that for the past few months I went through a bulk and a cut, my first ever, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it, what it entailed, do I think it was worth it, how the process went for me. I also want to let you guys know I did a bunch of podcast episodes on this with my co-host and my roommate Sam. We both went through it together, and there's quite a few podcast episodes on all of these topics. So if you want a more deep dive into the technical terms I'm using or the different options you have when it comes to tracking your macros of any type, definitely go to the podcast, the F Word Podcast, on all platforms. It goes really in detail. And that is my kitten. He's going crazy, but you can just ignore him in this video if he keeps doing that. Sorry about that. And I'm sipping a Diet Coke. Cheers. Let's just hop on in. I wrote a few notes on my phone of things that I want to talk about. Basically, I want to go into what a bulk and cut even is and why you would even do it. So the word bulk just means basically purposely gaining weight, and a cut is purposely losing weight. You gain weight by being in a calorie surplus, so you're bulking by eating more calories than you burn through a day, and then you cut or lose weight in a calorie deficit, meaning you burn more than you eat. Also, I want to make clear that you don't need to go through this process to put on muscle or get the physique you want. It is just a way that you can go, but you do not need to necessarily do like a bulk and cut cycle to make the progress you want, especially in your first year or so of lifting. You can definitely maintain and put on muscle mass. You also don't have to bulk to cut if you think you're starting your journey and want to already drop into a weight loss phase and that's right for you. You don't have to bulk first or anything. You can just go straight into a cut. You can also bulk and then have no desire to lose weight after. So this isn't something that you must do or that fits everyone. It's just an option you can take to reach your goals. So I want to show you guys some before and after pictures. This right here is before I bulked. As you can see, I was just overall pretty small. I did have some muscle definition, but everywhere was still pretty thin. You can see my ribs a lot. I didn't have much leg muscle at all, which you can't really see in all the photos, but that's basically how I looked before the bulk. I had a little bit of muscle definition, but the size of my muscles overall were very small, and I was just a very tiny human, and my strength wasn't all there completely. This is me in my bulk. During my bulk, I put on some weight. I lost quite a bit of muscle definition. My abs weren't all there all the time. I'd have some good days just because genetically for me, my abs show. So I'd have some good days, but they weren't all there. By the end of the day, I'd feel really bloated. I felt my arms got huge. I saw the most growth during my bulk in my biceps. I felt like my arms were gigantic during my bulk. And now nearing the little end of my mini cut, I feel great. I feel lean. I see definition all the time, and I'm loving it. I want to make it clear though, to do these things properly, you will have to track macros. So that is what I did to do it. You could do it without tracking, but it's going to be a lot harder. So I was tracking macros all through my bulk and my cut, and I made significant progress by taking 1 day a week off, about even some more during the holidays, but on a regular basis I was taking 1 day a week kind of off for my schedule and off tracking macros. I'd go out for drinks, go out for dinner, and I still made my progress taking that 1 day a week off. So by no means in my bulk or my cut am I being restrictive on my lifestyle. Pretty much every Saturday I'll spend half the day not tracking or worrying about food, and if there's an important holiday coming up or vacation, I won't really track either. I will still try to be mindful, but I won't fully track, and I've made progress doing just that, so don't think it has to consume your life every single day. So I went into a bulk in about the end of September till about January, and it was difficult. Basically, the process for me entailed slowly increasing my calories. You need to calm down. The bulk for me entailed slowly increasing my calorie over time those few months on basically a 2-week mark. So every 2 weeks I'd increase my calories, primarily from carbs and fat. My protein stayed roughly the same. It only varied about 5 to 10 grams, whereas my carbs were actually increasing by 50 to 100 grams. I think in total my carbs went up 150 grams, which is a lot, and my fat was going up. So my calories were pretty high. You don't need to compare your calories to anyone else's. I won't say mine in this video because it's so different for everyone. The reason I know how much to increase is just by following along with how my body responded. So for me, I know I can't go over, a gram of protein per pound of body weight, but I know I can push my carbs pretty high and my fat pretty high based on how slow or how quickly I'm gaining weight and how I'm feeling energy-wise. During my bulk, as I was increasing my food, I also totally stopped cardio and my 10K steps. So I didn't have a step goal. I wouldn't purposely not walk anywhere, but I didn't have a step goal of any sort. And I didn't do cardio. I was only lifting heavy weights for my activity during the day. For me personally, it was really hard for me to gain weight, so you could probably still make bulking progress with a step goal if you wanted to, but for me personally, I needed the process to go faster. It's really hard for my body to gain weight, so that would have made it even harder. But as long as you're aware of your surplus and how much you're burning, you can still do some steps and a tad bit of cardio in a bulk if you are smart with your calories, but it's also easy to just stop doing it because you don't have to stop doing it forever. It's only a little bit of time. So the bulk included a lot of force feeding. I was eating when I didn't want to. I was eating when I was so full. It got to the point where no food sounded good to me. Like even a food that would have been my favorite food in the past did not sound good at all. I had no desire to eat anything, which sucked, and that's what happened when you're constantly pushing your body to eat more than it's comfortable with for such a long period of time. So that is why I hated bulking. I also found it difficult to keep up with when traveling because it's really hard to eat as much as you need to when you're not having like a kitchen right there and you have to like Uber Eats, go to restaurants, whatever it may be. It's hard to eat enough. So I found eating enough so difficult. It seems easy. It seems like you can just, what's so hard with eating whatever you want? But you are trying to hit your macros. And trust me, eating to a point of uncomfortable fullness on a regular basis isn't as fun as you think it is. For one night, being able to eat a lot might sound kind of fun. But when it's your day-to-day, it's really nice to be able to just eat when you're hungry, and when you're on a bulk, you're kind of never hungry. Also, not every person might have that experience, and that's okay. It was hard for me to do that, but for some people, they might find it really simple and go through it with a breeze. For me, that was just not the case, so just remember this is my personal experience. The food got uncomfortable, and my body image did get a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it did teach me a lot. You don't need to go to the point where you're insanely uncomfortable with like yourself and the way you look and putting on lots of body fat, or even getting to the point where you're putting on too much weight that it's not healthy. You want to gain weight just as slowly as you want to lose it, so about 1 to 2 pounds a week. I actually did less than that. It was really hard for me to gain weight, but whatever. I tried my best. But you want to go at it slowly, and you don't need to be gaining absurd amounts of weight just to go on a bulk. It's a very slow, slight process. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, but it does make you a little bit uncomfortable. And I really am actually grateful for that. I think it made me even more comfortable with my body image because I pushed myself to a place that was out of my comfort zone, that was out of the norm for me, and forced me to still love myself and find things that I loved about myself aside from looks when I wasn't feeling my most confident. So for me, that was my strength and my willpower and my determination, because in a bulk you get insanely strong. And I was just focused on that. I was focused on how big my muscles were looking, how strong I was, the PRs I was hitting, all the stuff. Yeah, the goals for me during my bulk were to gain weight, to PR in the gym, and to overall push myself to be slightly uncomfortable and do something hard for myself, and I think I accomplished that. Like I said, I didn't personally gain as much weight as I wanted to. I think I'd have more results in my cut if I did gain more weight, but like I said in the beginning, everyone is different, so you can't compare your journey to anyone else's because our genetics and hormones, medications we take, it all goes into how fast we're going to gain or lose weight. So it's okay if your timeline looks different than someone else's. So in about February to March is when I started my cut, basically dropping my calories, passing maintenance, and then going into a deficit. After your bulk, your calories are higher, so your maintenance calories are higher. You have more weight on you, meaning what you can eat at maintenance is higher than it was when you started. So it'll be easier for you to drop into a deficit. I'm in a deficit right now, and I'm still eating over 2,000 calories, which I'm only saying that to put it in perspective, that you don't have to eat a little amount of food. Not everyone's calories will be that number, but I'm just using that as the point to say that I am by no means starving or eating 1,000 calories. We are still eating, a really good amount because of that bulk. My lifting did not change with my bulk, only my cardio did, but with my cut, my lifting did change a little bit. So I started out lifting 6 days a week. That's pretty much what I did most of my last 2.5 year lifting journey. But recently I switched to 5 days a week. And this is just because I have less energy in my system to give, and I want to be really intentional with my lifts. Even at the beginning of the cut, when I was still doing 6 days a week, I was being very intentional with my volume and intensity. The beginning first heavy thing in My lift was pretty intense, and I tried to keep everything else very, very controlled because I didn't want to overexert myself. I wanted to do basically exactly what was needed to maintain and put on muscle mass without overdoing it, harming myself, injury, being super sore, any of that. I wanted it to stay very controlled. So now I'm doing 5 days a week, which is, I think, a good amount of stress to put on my body. It also helps with weight loss because you're lowering that cortisol, the extra stress, which helps lose weight. Also, with my lifting protocols during the cut, I'm following a program, not just a program of a schedule of workouts, but a program catered around the big 3 lifts: squat, bench, and deadlift. Kind of more like power lifter vibes because I really want to keep my strength. On a bulk and in the first year of lifting, you're gonna keep making progress even if your program isn't the ultimate best. But because I know that extra 1,000 calories isn't there to help me push for a PR, I know my training has to be there to keep me able to push for those PRs. And since I'm following a very strict program and adhering to it, following percentage of my 1 rep max, all the things, I'm able to keep pushing PRs. I PR'd my bench, I PR'd my squat. I just started conventional deadlifting, so I have no PRs to hit there yet because I just started. But I'm making really good progress even though I'm eating less, and I'm trying to do the same compound movements after every lift so that way I'm keeping up the strength in those as well, and I haven't lost strength there at all. I use the same weight as I did during my bulk. Some days I just might have less to give because I'm also walking a ton and doing cardio. So when it comes to cardio during my cut, I started at 3 days a week and now I'm at 4 days a week for 25 minutes. I prefer incline walking. I'll do stairs every now and then. I personally prefer incline walking at about 11 to 12 incline on a 2.5 to 3 speed, depending on the treadmill. Some of them are a little different than others, but that feels pretty good for me for about 25 minutes. And I do it after my workout every day, or if it's an active rest day like today it was, I just go to the gym, do my cardio, come back, and that's it. But always after my workout, and then I'll get some steps after that as well. My step goal every single day is 10K steps. I track that on my Apple Watch. Super easy. You can also track it on your phone, but it is harder because then your phone has to be with you at all times. So this will get every single movement you do throughout the day. The steps you get during your cardio don't actually count toward your step goal, which a lot of people don't realize. So the way I figured that out, I don't take my watch off for cardio or anything. One day during my cardio, I finished it off and I realized it got me about 2,000-ish steps. So on my cardio days, I just try to push more toward 12,000 steps rather than 10K steps. And that pretty much does it for me. You could track it any other way you like. That's just how I choose to go about it. You can also do any type of cardio you want. I preferred low intensity cardio. I think it's the easiest on your body, but at the end of the day, you want to do something that you're going to be consistent with. The amount of days is also different. I just find 4 is cool for me. You can work with your own schedule. I think that's a big part of it. As long as you're getting a good amount of it in and all your steps, the few extra minutes or days probably isn't going to make that much of a difference. It's more so adhering to your own schedule and your own time frame that you want to do this and not anyone else's, and following your own. 4 just seems like the good amount of days for me. The overall goal of a cut is simply just aesthetics. Really, there's not a lot of physical benefit. Obviously you're lowering your body fat, but unless you're coming from a extremely high body fat percentage, there's no really advantage to doing so if you're still just in the healthy body fat range for your body. So it's honestly just aesthetics. It's leaning out, it's showing your muscle definition, your abs showing, like that's really all it is. It's an aesthetic thing. I choose to do it for summer. You can do whatever you want, but that's what it is. It might sound a little vain or whatnot, but that's really honestly the goal, is just for your own looks. So basically when you're bulking, you're building up all that muscle, and then you get to cut down to see it all. I also find myself getting more in cardio shape. When I was bulking, I could barely even walk upstairs, and now I feel more comfortable with my overall cardio abilities, so that's also a plus of cutting. By the way, I call what I did a mini cut because it was pretty short. Some people can cut up to like 6 months, and this was only like a 3-month little thing. The reason for that is because since it's just for aesthetics, I'm not prepping for a show. It's nothing too serious. It's just for me and what I want to do, and if I'm at a point with me being comfortable and how I look and the amount of eating and the cardio I'm doing, I don't see a reason to push myself for longer. It's really not that serious. It's just for yourself. It's not like I have a show or anything I need to adhere to or anyone telling me what to do. So I just got to the point where I was comfortable with how I was. But you don't want to be cutting for too long. If you're pushing after 6 months, I would look into maybe doing a little bit of a diet break, a reverse diet or something. You don't want to keep yourself in a deficit for too long. I'm so obsessed with Diet Coke. Oh, I love cutting. I personally find cutting way easier than bulking. I love just eating when I'm hungry, stopping when I'm full, enjoying some low-calorie drinks, low-calorie snacks in the summer like fruit, green juice, cucumbers, watermelon, all that stuff I just found really great. And bulking, I didn't really have room for that kind of stuff. I couldn't waste my calories on low-calorie snacks, but I like this stuff. I love Diet Coke, and I like being able to just enjoy and see the physical progress. So I think cutting over bulking 1000%. That is basically my cutting and bulking story and what it is and why I did it. So yeah, I hope that was helpful to you guys. I just want to come on here and put it on YouTube because like I said, it's been all over the podcast and I've done full day of eatings of my cut and my bulk, but I never just shared like my experience. So I wanted to go all in on that for you guys on my channel so you can see me talking about it, but you can definitely go to the podcast for a more in-depth view. There's hours and hours of conversations on tracking macros and all that. Okay guys, and with that, that is my story of my bulk and cut. I really like the results. I'm really proud of them. I would say I actually recommend doing it. I think the bulk is a real test of your confidence and determination, and it really makes you uncomfortable. So I would actually recommend doing it for the mental side of it. I think it was great. And I think the physical results right now are showing pretty great. And I'll pat myself on the back. I feel really confident in myself right now. I'm just ready for summer. So yeah, with that, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you learned something. Hope I helped, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.